Okay, last section, we're looking at the general form of a circle. So we are familiar with the standard form. We did this last time, and now we're looking at a general form. So that's x squared plus y squared, and then some number by x, some number by y, and c is the constant, and it equals 0. So these can graph the same circle. It's just a different form, different way that we're going to see it. So here we have something in standard form. Let's convert it to general form. So the biggest mistake people make is they say, oh, there's a squared. It must go to both. No, that's not right. It is not x squared plus 25. When something is squared, we times it by itself. Like, for example, 3 squared is 3 times 3. So we have to take x plus 5 and times it by itself. So now we're multiplying a binomial and a binomial. 2 terms times 2 terms. And we did this way back in quarter 1, so maybe you remember. You take the first term in the first binomial, and it has to be multiplied to both of the second binomial terms. So x times x is x squared. X times 5 is 5x. And then you take the second term, and same thing, it has to go to both in the second binomial. So 5x, and then 5 times 5 is 25. And then the middle two always combine. So now we have x squared plus 10x plus 25. Okay, you do the same thing with y. So y plus 2 times itself. That's what squared means. So first term to both of them in the second. Y times y is y squared. Y times 2 is 2y. The second term goes to both. 2y, 2 times 2 is 4. All right, middle two combine. So now we have y squared plus 4y plus 4, and then we still have the equals 49. But notice in general form it equals 0. So we're going to have to bring that over. So now our like terms are 25 plus 4, and we're going to subtract the 49 over. So it equals 0. So I have 25 plus 4 minus 49. That's going to be negative 20. But let's do general form. X squared first. So x squared. And when I've used it, I'm going to cross it off. Y squared. Okay, I used the y squared. Now I want the x term. So the number with just x by it. 10x. All right, now I want just the term with y next to it. So 4y. And then c, that stands for constant. That's just our number. So 25 plus 4 minus 49, that was negative 20, equals 0. And that is general form. So it's multiplying everything out and putting it in the right order. Okay, and now we're going to learn how to go the other way. What if we have general form, but we want it in standard form? And we're going to learn something called completing the square. So first thing is you want to rearrange it so that the x's go together. So I have x squared minus 2x. Then I want my y's together. Y squared minus 4y. And then I'm going to add the 4 to the other side. So the constant goes on the other side of the equal sign. So equals positive 4. So this part is called completing the square. And what happens is you take your x values, and we're going to add on a third number out here. So I like to draw a box and leave space for it. And then I take my y values, and same thing. we're going to add on a value equals 4. And then guess what? You can't just add numbers on the left side of your equation and be like, okay. No, you have to add those same numbers on the right. Okay, that means that we're changing the equation, but not really. If I add a number here and add a number here, nothing's changed. So we're keeping it balanced. So this is called completing the square because we're making a square. We're making x plus or minus something squared. And then we're making y plus or minus something squared because that's our standard form. Our standard form has 2 squares and then it equals the radius. So to do that, we take the number in the middle, so the number by x, and we divide it by 2. -2 divided by +2 is -1, and that's the number that goes in our square. But we just did this with our general form. That means x minus 1 times x minus 1. So let's multiply that out. X times x is x squared. X times -1 is -1x. -1x, and then -1 times -1 is +1. So the middle two combine. Right here, -1 minus -1 is -2x. So see how we have that? But what happened? When we made it in this form, we added this extra 1 out here. That just happened with the square, with making a square. Okay, so we have to add in this extra 1 here. And because we added on this side of the equation, we have to add it on this side of the equation. So now we do the same thing with y. We take the term in the middle, the one next to just y, not y squared, and divide it by 2. So -4 divided by +2 is -2. So now it's in the right form, but another number gets kind of thrown in there. So y minus 2 times y minus 2, and you can multiply that out. So y squared minus 2y minus 2y. -2 times -2 is +4. The middle two combine, and we have y squared minus 4y. So look, that's what we started with. But because we put it in the squared form, this +4 gets added. It's just part of the process. So we have to include that up here on the left and the right. Okay. So the shortcut to that is divide that by 2, so -1, and then you would take -1 squared, which is +1. Divide that by 2, you get -2. -2 squared is +4. And then this part, on the other side of the equal sign, you have to calculate, which is 4 plus 1, 5. 5 plus 4, 9. So our standard form is x minus 1 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 9. And from that, we can see the center is 1, 2. The radius is 3. So that's why we really like standard form. But sometimes things come in the other form and we have to convert them back and forth.